Hello, welcome to badgerbeat.com. Rob Hernandez alongside Tom Oates as we grade the Badgers. As tough as that's going to be tonight after the 59-0 pounding the Badgers took at the hands of the Ohio State Buckeyes. And Oatesy, in keeping with the theme of the night, some very tough grades. I suppose it was easy to fill out the report card tonight. There wasn't a whole lot to hang the hat on, and we start first with offense and a D-.
Well, let's just start with this. No F's tonight, and that's only due to the quality of the opposition.
Yes.
I thought Ohio State was a very good team playing very well.
Well,
having said that,
yes,
the Badgers played very poorly. They just laid an egg. We'll start with the offense. They never got Melvin Gordon many creases. Ohio State did what many teams have done. They jammed the box and tried to make it difficult for Melvin Gordon, and they did it. They're probably better athletes than some of the other teams Wisconsin's played. Consequently, they relied on, they were going to have to throw. They didn't really ever throw the ball with any great consistency. They had 4 turnovers in the game, 3 interceptions, and a Melvin Gordon fumble that was returned for a touchdown. Really not a lot to hang their hat on offensively in this game at all. So a D-. Again, that goes back to the opposition. Ohio State was very good.
Well, I think that maybe the surprising grade, coming into the night is the grade that the defense gets, another D-. You figure with a guy who on paper is a third-string quarterback, but tonight played like a first-team All Big Ten player.
Well, I think their hope was that he would not be a very good thrower, and that the Buckeyes would be one-dimensional, and they've done very well. I mean, I think their number 2 national ranking on defense for Wisconsin was the fact that they've played some one-dimensional teams, and they did very well against them. I mean, they just shut everything down, and I think they were hoping, or at least I'm guessing, that Cardale Smith would not be an accurate thrower, and consequently they would be able to stop the run. But they didn't really stop either one. And he did prove to be a more accurate thrower than advertised. I know he had a strong arm, and everyone agreed, but I think everyone was kind of wondering about the rest of it. And as we saw in the Iowa game, if you can throw the ball, especially deep on Wisconsin, there were some vulnerabilities there, and Ohio State was able to exploit them because Jones was that good of a quarterback. Right. Maybe he just had a great game, or maybe he's this good.
He also had good guys around him, too. I mean, Devin Smith with 3 touchdown catches tonight.
Terrific. The running backs, the receivers, they're all really high-quality players, a lot of speed. If you make a mistake, it's a touchdown. And then Badgers made some big mistakes, and accordingly, Ohio State scored some big touchdowns. I think they had 4 touchdowns of 29 yards or longer or something like that.
Special teams grade tonight, folks, is a D. The Badgers unable to. Well, first of all, they didn't kick off much. There were no field goals attempted in tonight's ball game. They just weren't able to flip the field in the punt game, and that Ohio State scored quickly in the early going, but a lot of that had to do with the fact that they didn't exactly have to go the length of the field.
Well, the kickoff return team should be exhausted. Okay,
true.
Just let's get that out of the way, and mostly it revolved around punting. And Ohio State's punter, I think he only punted twice, but they were outstanding punts down inside the 10-yard line and long, and 73 and 63 or something like 58 or I don't know. But down inside the 5 or 10, and just kind of showed that how inconsistent the Badgers special teams have been all year, and just in 4 or 5 games they've just totally lost the field position battle, and they lost it here. And part of that, Kenzel Doe that would have been a tough play to make on that 70-some yard punt.
Right.
But if he catches it, they gain 30 yards in field position.
Right.
So just a really, it wasn't a horrible night for the special teams, but it was a rough. The Badgers needed them to provide field position, and the opposite happened.
Coaching tonight gets a D. I know in the postgame, Gary Anderson gave himself an F and really took full responsibility for all the breakdowns that went on. Wouldn't even pin it on his coordinators, but I think at some level, Oates, everybody tonight that was prepping for this game had to take some accountability. It just looked like they weren't ready to come to play tonight.
I agree, and some of the players afterward talked about bad run fits. Well, I thought for instance, bad run fits, I thought that kind of ceased 6-7 weeks ago. Why it would surface today, maybe they just overall weren't ready to play. How do you, Andy Ludwig, the offensive coordinator, I think he has a dilemma. his big gun is Melvin Gordon.
Right.
But when you keep running Melvin Gordon into the line and he's gaining 2-3 tough yards because there's not that much there, then what do you do? And how soon do you go to, to opening it up? And, can you even open it up, especially against a fast defense like Ohio State? Maybe your receivers aren't open. It was just a tough night for the coordinators, but I think it's pretty safe to say that at no point was this team really, really, truly ready to play. I think the 3-week stretch leading up to this, where they had must-win games against good, strong opponents, maybe caught up with them tonight, especially at some point in the first half.
And overall tonight, Oates gives the Badgers a D-, and Oates, the two teams tonight with a lot to prove, perhaps more so for Ohio State, because now they might be in that Final Four. I'm curious your thoughts as if they showed enough tonight to really force the committee to get, look long and hard at maybe putting them in that group. But and then what's next for the Badgers? How do you rebound from something like this?
Well, let's look at Ohio State. I think at the beginning of this game they weren't in the picture anymore because all the teams ahead of them had won, and they needed to put a whooping on somebody, and that's what they went out and did. And I think they answered the question about the backup quarterback, and that is there's enough talent around him that they can still be a really, really good team. And if they made the committee's decision a lot more difficult, and that's kudos to Ohio State.
Right.
They deserve it. They played really well. They were motivated, and they were good. The Badgers, I think it'll make for an interesting bowl game. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Because they need. I think in their own minds, and I think in everybody's minds, they need some redemption here because this was just not the way anyone affiliated with this program wants to be known as, wants to go out as. So might give them a better performance in the bowl game because if they don't have a chip on their shoulder, they're not breathing.
Well, and the other thing too to think about as we move forward is the fact that they haven't won a bowl game in a while, and to always come out of a season, wondering what if and how do we get better. They can answer a lot of those questions with one win in that last game, and they haven't done it in a while.
No, you're right. I think that's one of the things weighing on this program is its inability to win bowl games, and I think that clearly tonight, I think they had hope to take a step up, win another Big Ten title.
Right.
That would have been 4 out of 5 years,
Yeah.
and I think that was something on their minds. It didn't happen. So now you go back a little bit to square one. I think the distance between Ohio State and the rest of the conference really showed tonight. Let's put it that way.
It sure did. And a 59-0 victory by Ohio State over the Wisconsin Badgers here in the 2014 Big Ten Conference Championship game. For Tom Oates, I'm Rob Hernandez. Those are the Badger grades for the Big Ten title game. We'll grade the Badgers after the bowl game.